Now, these days, I spend most of my time in New York City, where I have a very small apartment. And I enjoy living there because all of my life I have lived in large houses, and I really haven't enjoyed that very much at all. When, of course, I was a child, I lived with my grandmother Hall in a very large home. And then, of course, when I married Franklin, he took me to Hyde Park, to Spring Wood, my mother-in-law's home. It was 35 rooms, and she lived in it, and she ran it. And she was very particular about how things should be done. And whenever Franklin and I went there, she expected us to behave as guests. But I can't say that Franklin ever felt or behaved like a guest. And so this caused conflict, particularly after he became active in politics, which she didn't care for either. So I found really it wasn't a good idea to leave them very long alone together. I felt that I could be absent from them for about 15 minutes, or something controversial would come up. But even though they might have disagreements, and even though they might argue, they had a deep and abiding bond that they never lost at all. Now, Franklin realized my discomfort at having to stay at Springwood. And so he was very kind to me, and he had a house built for me, really a cottage, called Val Kill. It was very small, only 18 rooms. And there I could go and I could have my friends and guests. I built a swimming pool so Franklin would have somewhere to swim when he was visiting. And there I really felt comfortable for the first time. It was a place I could call my own. I will say, however, that if you came to Val Kill and the cook was away and I had to be responsible for feeding you, I'm afraid there's only one thing I know how to cook at all. And we would have this, whether it was breakfast, lunch, or dinner, scrambled eggs. You may also know of a time that I was criticized quite vehemently by the press and I suppose everyone else, because when the King and Queen of England were visiting, and we had been in Washington and we had had all of the state dinners and that sort of thing, we decided to take them to Hyde Park. And I thought it would be a good idea to give them an authentic picnic experience. And so I don't know what you serve at a picnic, but I serve hot dogs. And so I served hot dogs to the King and Queen of England. And all of the newspapers across the country ran headlines, Mrs. Roosevelt serves hot dogs to the King and Queen. Now, I will tell you that I think they enjoyed them very much. And I think perhaps those were royal hot dogs.